Struggling with IT certification exams? Introducing Exam Boot, the ultimate AI-connected platform to help you succeed. With over 30,000 real-world questions from over 150 certification providers, Exam Boot gives you everything you need to prepare. It's simple. You add a certification and create as many exam simulations as you want. You are not alone. Your personal virtual coaches, Ben and Becky, are here to provide you with detailed explanations for each question in multiple languages and personalized advice throughout your preparation. Track your progress with our advanced performance data. Focus on your weak areas and improve with targeted tests. Get ready to ace your next certification. Exam Boot, your path to success starts here. Visit examboot.com today.
Attachez vos ceintures. Si vous souhaitez devenir un expert en cybersécurité connu dans le monde entier, notre bootcamp CSSP est votre billet d'or. En un mois seulement, vous maîtriserez les 8 domaines du CISSP avec l'aide d'instructeurs certifiés et expérimentés. Notre méthodologie pratique comprend des études de cas, des ateliers pratiques et des simulations d'examen sur notre plateforme Exam Boot. Et le meilleur dans tout ça, notre programme est conçu avec flexibilité pour s'adapter à votre vie professionnelle bien remplie. Pourquoi obtenir la certification CISSP? C'est simple, bénéficier d'une reconnaissance internationale, booster vos opportunités de carrière et décrocher des postes mieux rémunérés et plus responsables. Ne manquez pas cette chance de transformer votre avenir professionnel. Inscrivez-vous dès maintenant et profitez de notre tarif spécial pour les 10 premiers inscrits avec le code promo CISSP JAN 25. TIC. Tac, le temps presse. Scannez le QR code sur votre écran et inscrivez-vous dès aujourd'hui. À très bientôt. Pourquoi obtenir la certification CISSP? C'est simple.
Struggling with IT certification exams? Introducing Exam Boot, the ultimate AI-connected platform to help you succeed. With over 30,000 real-world questions from over 150 certification providers, ExamBoot gives you everything you need to prepare. It's simple. You add a certification and create as many exam simulations as you want. You are not alone. Your personal virtual coaches, Ben and are here to provide you with detailed explanations for each question in multiple languages and personalized advice throughout your preparation. Track your progress with our advanced performance dashboard. Focus on your weak areas and improve with targeted tests. Get ready to ace your next certification. ExamBoot, your path to success.
Attachez vos ceintures. Si vous souhaitez devenir un expert en cybersécurité reconnu dans le monde entier, notre bootcamp CISSP est votre billet d'or. En un mois seulement, vous maîtriserez les 8 domaines du CISSP avec l'aide d'instructeurs certifiés et expérimentés. Notre méthodologie pratique comprend des études de cas, des ateliers pratiques et des simulations d'examen sur notre plateforme ExamBoot. Et le meilleur dans tout ça, notre programme est conçu avec flexibilité bien rempli. Pourquoi obtenir la certification CISSP? C'est simple. Bénéficiez d'une reconnaissance internationale, boostez vos opportunités de carrière et décrochez maintenant et profitez de notre tarif spécial pour les 10 premiers inscrits avec le code promo CISSP JAN 25. TIC. Tac, le temps presse. Scannez le QR code sur votre écran et inscrivez-vous dès aujourd'hui. À très bientôt. La certification CISSP, c'est simple. Bénéficiez d'une reconnaissance internationale.
Struggling with IT certification exams? Introducing ExamBoot, the ultimate AI-connected platform to help you succeed. With over 30,000 real-world questions from over 150 certification providers, ExamBoot gives you everything you need to prepare. It's simple. You add a certification and create as many exam simulations as you want. You are not alone. Your personal virtual coaches, Ben and Becky, are here to provide you with detailed explanations for each question in multiple languages and personalized advice throughout your preparation. Track your progress with our advanced performance dashboard. Focus on your weak areas and improve with targeted tests. Get ready to ace your next certification. Exam Boot, your path to success.
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Hey, hi. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah, sure.
welcome everyone. Welcome to EOCON 2024. It's been a long week. We started since Tuesday. This is the seventh EOCON taking place every October. So we are thanking our sponsors, as you can see down there, Examboot, Jefona, Africa, and Africa Relief, who were helping us organize this event. So today we are going to start with Shubham Kumar and Sagar. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for your presence. So they are going to present the art of OSINT, tracking the world without a care. So before I give you guys the floor, I would like to tell everyone here that everything is recorded and shared on the social platform such as LinkedIn and YouTube. So, without wasting time, you guys can introduce yourself. I know you are researchers in the OSINT domain and also cybersecurity professionals. So, but I will let you introduce yourself and present the what you prepared for us. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, sure. Okay. Am I audible and clear? Okay, just give me a second.
Yes, you are
Okay.
audible.
Okay, sure. Let me stop. Yeah, let me share my screen then. Okay, just give me a second. Is it visible right now?
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool. Because I can't see it. Okay, before we start with our presentation, just give me a second. So before we start with our presentation, I would like you to imagine something, right? So consider yourself sitting comfortably in your background, just like us right now, and trying to access a full-blown world out from your devices out there. It does seems like a scene from a movie or from something as a show like Mr. Robot, from which we are very inspired by and very much in. But this is not something out of from shows or from fictional book. This is today's reality. And with that, we would like you to welcome to our basically our presentation, which is the art of OSINT, tracking the world without a care. So as we start with our journey, we would like you to give some disclaimers, since with great power comes great responsibilities, right? So, so first disclaimer, that the content discussed on this platform, it is meant for educational purposes only. The misuse of any information provided herein shall be the sole liability of the abuser. And second thing, this talk also bears no authorization for speaker's employer, and that is TransUnion. After that, having said these words, we would like to give some of our little stories, and for that we are Saga.
Uh, Thank you, Shubham. So, the next slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we hop onto the more of technical stuff and understand that how basically OSINT works, what are the topics that we are going to discuss, let's just take a moment of step back and understand that why two security guys who were loving the hacking stuff, penetration testing, researches, malware analysis, suddenly stop doing that and go into the field of OSINT. Well, that starts during the time of COVID, when basically at that particular time we were, all kind of sitting idle, have nothing much to do, like like all of you guys. At that time, I decided to formulate a CTF team called SOCIET 00, and that is the team that I lead, by going by the alias name Elliot M87. And what we did, it was participate in multiple challenges, CTF competitions around the world. At that particular time, I understand that while solving these kinds of challenges, we figured it out that there was particular section of challenges that was about the OSINT stuff. And at that particular moment, we didn't know what actually OSINT means. But while solving the challenge, it intrigued our curiosity. It intrigued that part of our mind that bugs us. So we start learning about it. We start researching about it. One thing led to the another, and while solving those challenges, we realized that it has much more impact just being the CTF challenges. And while implementing those challenges into the investigation field, we understand that how good it can be. So that's how we lead going from one point to the another, and that's what basically we do. We do OSINT and we know things. So that's our little story. Let's move on to the more of an obligatory slide. That is, who am I? So once again, I'd like to welcome you all. My name is Sagar Tiwari. I'm an independent cybersecurity researcher, an OSINT enthusiast, basically a curious guy who loves technical stuff. Anything that inspires me, that make my curiosity enlighten again, I want to do that kind of stuff. And that's why I'm a writer, I'm a content creator. I have written over 250 blogs and articles for more than a dozen publications. I have worked on OSINT cases, worked on multiple researches, given talks at multiple conferences like SANS OSINT Summit, besides and DEF CON India chapter. Apart from this, we have also conducted an OSINT village this time. And I lead a CTF team from India called SOCIET 00, going by the alias name Elliot M87. That's about me. Over to you, Shubham.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for the wonderful introduction, Saga. And I'm Shubham Kumar, currently employed as a senior security analyst at TransUnion, leading the threat investigation and other streams out there. Besides that, I also do much more of the OSINT, thus an OSINT enthusiast, you can call me, cybersecurity evangelist. And with Saga, we have given various workshops and talks on OSINT and other proper stuffs like in SANS and besides in DEF CON DC 9111, that's the Delhi chapter. And other than that, we basically teach people much more about what we call as OSINT. So introduce ourselves. With that, we will move more to our journey. And for that, we have the table of contents. So starting with the one thing that is level one, and that is we will understand what is OSINT. Then we will go into why is it so important. Then we will move towards the level 3, which we call as 101s, in order to gather much more information, how we are going to proceed into the further slides. After that, we have a level 4, that is analyzing our social medias that we have. Then we have the vehicle OSINT, maritime, and OSINT for aircraft. And then we have the signal OSINT. Please take a look at that carefully, because 101s will eventually be forming a broader part of the other portions that we are discussing. And in the end, we will have what we can call as the level 999, and that is the conclusion. So having said that, let's move to the main thing, and that is what is OSINT. Now, OSINT in general is more about collecting, analyzing, and disseminating the publicly available information that we gather from various sources that are publicly available, such as the websites or the social media accounts that are there, or even the public records that are available. Now, why OSINT is such more importance right now? Because of its non-covert nature. It distinguishes itself from that, because you are going to gather the information without much more interactive. So that is why OSINT is divided in two forms, that is the active and the passive form of OSINT. So active is much more engaging, passive is much more just reconnaissance out there. Now, having said that what is OSINT, now we will move to the one more important thing, as why is it so relevant? Now, OSINT, since current scenarios of the geographical world that we are seeing right now indulges much more into the world conflicts, into the geopolitical scenarios, or even into the cyber regime that we are following. For example, you can see some of these headlines out there, like the Sweden conducted its first reconnaissance flight near the Russian border since joining NATO, or even the merchant and military vessels targeted renewed Houthis attacks. These were quite the critical set of news that had much more of the OSINT being going as a part of which we will be discussing a bit and pieces of it in our own presentation too. Other than that, there's a grave scenario that you see that an influencer that was of 23 years age, she shared her lunch on Instagrams. An attacker finds and shoot her. It's much more of the things that they did. That is why OSINT is much more necessary for everyone out there in order to not just protect themselves, but also their loved ones. Now, moving with that, we will have the important ones, and please take a note and care of that, and that is the 101s.
Thank you, Shubham, for that. So before we going into the depth of what we're going to discuss in the further in the subsequent slides, let's just understand the 101 and basically what these 101s are. These are the sock puppet accounts, the image reversing, and the CCTVs. These will create a basics of for any investigator, analyst, or researchers who's going to go into the field of OSINT. Now let's start with the sock puppet accounts. So basically, sock puppet accounts are the fake or the masquerade identities that you create online. But the question arises, why do we need to create them? That's second scenario. As an investigator, you have to traverse some data out of a social media account of a subject or a target. In that case, you don't want to go out and use your personal social media accounts. Well, apart from that, you're going to have an identity, a virtual identity that has nothing related to your own identity or your personal accounts. Because in any case, you don't want your subject to track you back down. That means leaking your digital footprints. And that's why these kinds of sock puppet accounts are really important and necessary while doing any kind of investigation, even just traversing. So for that, as you can see in the top image, we have the temporary email addresses. So if you want to create an account on any kind of social media websites or any kind of stuff, you can easily create these temporary mails and have a temporary mailbox that will can give you the OTPs and other kinds of information for a temporary part of time, hiding your original identity. Apart from this, as in the below section, you can see a virtual identity creator. So that helps using the AI. You can create an entire virtual identity that can have its own post images so that it can resemble like an original person. In that manner, this kind of investigation can be quite helpful. Moving forward, we have the image reversing. Well, image reversing is one of the pivotal tasks for any kind of OSINT investigation. Why? As you can see in the top image that we can see a vehicle and we are understanding and analyzing the vehicle registration number. Well, that's a part of one of our own talk on that was dedicated on the vehicle OSINT in the SANS OSINT Summit this year only. But this is a very important task for image reversing. So let's take an understand using a scenario. So while investigating on a particular case, there was a picture that was about a room where the subject was there. In the background, we can only see an electronic socket or electrical socket. Just by crucially analyzing and pivotally knowing that what kind of socket, in which part of the world that particular company sells those sockets, an investigator was able to pinpoint the location and might be the city where this image was taken out. So for using those kinds of techniques and involving those kinds of resources like the TNI, PMI, or image reversing search on various different search engines, because depending upon the geographical scenario where you're looking at, these kinds of search engines can yield different kinds of results. In that manner, these kinds of image reversing can be quite useful. The next one is the CCTV. Well, in every hacking movie or the shows like Shubham has already discussed in the Mr. Robot, CCTV footages are very necessary. Well, apart from jokes, this is a very important trick in a sleeve of an OSINT analyst. Because as you can see, these kinds of footages will give you the real time and the dynamic data and the incidents that are happening in the real time. For example, if you're seeing a post, if you're seeing anything that has you any kind of evidence information, that kind of information is only available maybe some hours before that actual incident is happening. But while looking at the real-time footages, you can have an evidence proof that who is doing what kind of crime. In that manner, CCTV footages can be quite useful. There are multiple resources from where you can have ethically download the CCTV footages or maybe drivers in the real time, as well as there are like the public-based databases, as well as the internet-connected search engines like the Shodan, Census, or the Binary Edge, where you can find these kinds of resources. Well, here's a point to understand that always keep your morale ethically high, because traversing these kinds of information can be go into very wrong hands and can yield very kind of wrong results. So always make sure that before indulging into any kind of OSINT investigation or analytics, you must have a proper authorization of what kind of stuff you are doing it. So that's the basic of 101. And now let's move on to the more serious stuff.
Yeah, thanks. So having understood the 101, now we will move to the much more of the important factors. That is, the first one we are going to use and understanding is analyzing of the social media accounts. Now, you can do it in the ways that basic, on the very basic levels, you can utilize platforms such as Have I Been Pawned. Now, when you are in a basic email address, what you're going to do with it? You're going to see if it has been breached or in any of the breach forums or not. So we had utilized platforms such as Have I Been Pawned, which have helped us a lot. Other than that, we had also used much more of the D-hash. Now, what happens is that then whenever your account has been pawned in such scenarios, then you get some of those informations out there, such as the platforms on which it was being seen or the platform which the breach occurred. For example, it can be on a Domino's website, or it can be on the other, such as the Canva itself, right? Now, getting that a bit and pieces of those informations, then we can move to the further stage. For example, D-hash gives a much more detail. You can paying just a small fees, or even on a very small scenarios, you can get much more detailed information, such as the location, the coordinates, the password that has been seen are also being seen in these breach forums. Other than that, once you have an email address or even a username, because people do have a great, I would say, a bit of a habit where they basically utilize a kind of a username similar much more to their email addresses, or much more relating to it. So once you can get that information, extracting the username out of those email addresses, then you can utilize tools such as Sherlock. It helps you to find those various sites which the username has been seen. Other than that, a platform called as What's My Name app is very much informative in those perspectives, because as you can see in of your section on your screen itself, it shows you all filters are active, right? So we did get the username from those websites out there. Just consider it also creates one of the scenarios you can include are the sites which are called not safe for works, even on those accounts, because people do put a lot of those informations and they are much more publicly available. So what helps these things? It helps you to find the points on which you can tread in the subsequent steps. Now, having moved to that, we will move to the level 2. Now, once you have those usernames, you can go and a bit further and search them on the social media platforms too, such as ones you are seeing is from a Facebook perspective, and other one is too. Other than that, we have something from TikTok, as you can see, and from Instagram too. Now, why is this so important here? Because you're going to get the different videos out of those peoples too, right? It helps you to form a psyche, the personality of a person. For example, who the person is, what he or she likes, what are the places that they interact most on, or are they even introvert or extrovert in nature? These are the bit and pieces that you can find. Sometimes you can also see the people where they are living that has been mentioned even in their bios, and even their relationships out there. These pointers helps you to do much more investigation on the suspect that you are seeing in your own investigations. Other than that, there's a very beautiful platform called as That's Them. It does provides you much more detail or in-depth information out there. For example, we did a bit of information on some person, and we got various other facts such as their primary residence, where they had their home, and what was the year of purchase, their basic email addresses that are related with it, guys. And other than that, they had various associates too, because a person was not just making one account, they were making several of them. And other than that, they had various other people associated with them, whether it be their cousins, their husband, their sisters, their brothers, anything. it was also mentioned. Other than that, it gives you a bit of understanding about their wealth, their scores, or even their demographics. Once you have got those pointers, these forms a bit of an image about the suspect that you are seeing. Now, this is what is called as SOCINT or SOCMENT, where you are utilizing those email addresses or from the social media posts that are out there. Once you have done that, now we will move to the other thing, and that is the vehicle OSINT. Now, vehicle OSINT is very much informative in one of the terms. First of all, we are going to see what is the usage of those registration numbers. Now, registration numbers are also referred to as the VRMs or the vehicle registration marks. Now, they are of very much importance because they are a unique alphanumeric codes that are assigned to any vehicle by any government when it is registered. Now, the point is that what are the basic informations it does provide, right? It can provide you information when about the vehicle who is being registered to, the person itself, the chassis number, or even the VIN numbers on such scenarios, or even on those parking tickets information such as the violating one which has been done can be found out from these VRMs. So once you get that information, you can see that there is a source, there has a violator name, the amount that has been done, the challan information, and even what the act they were doing. So once you take a closer look at that, why is it so important here? Because it helps you to understand the person's basic understanding, like what is their nature, how they drive. It is much more important in various other scenarios. For example, understanding the insurance and the finance status of these people, their historical movement that has been particularly seen, or even the vehicle specifications, such as the color or the vehicle that they were driving, where they were seen, or even the ownership details. Now, having said that, we will move to the vehicle OSINT second part, which is the VIN number. So once you have gathered the information from the registration number, you can move to the VIN numbers. Now, VIN is very much important. Why? Because VIN in itself is a unique 17 characters code assigned to these vehicles that are everywhere. It serves more like a fingerprint. It provides details such as the vehicle's manufacturer, the model, the place where it was being built, and the other 6 digits at the back is the vehicle specific number or the serial number of the vehicle in itself, which helps in tracking, recalling, registration, warrants, or even the thefts that were seen. So there had been, so you can utilize platforms such as, first of all, like WinCheck for these, or the Win decoders. They give you a beautiful information about that, like the specifications that it had, the sales record where it was being seen, and other than that, it has the recalls and complaints. This is also very much important because it helps you to understand the kind of a vehicle that has been utilized and what are the basic vulnerabilities if they exist in these cases. Other than that, they also provide you the make, the model. And even utilizing a platform like DeadSim, you can utilize these VIN numbers into that and can link the information back to the source, that who is the particular person who was being seen. For example, you can see that utilizing DeadSim, we utilize the VIN numbers and we did find a Hyundai Sonata. And other than that, we got the other information such as a person names, their other phone numbers, their registrations, etc. Now, once we have done that, we will move to what we call as the maritime OSINT. Now, this is very beautiful too, because maritime OSINT is the core of the part that we are living in. And why is that? Because 71% of the earth is still covered with water and almost 90% of the global trade happens through the maritime network. In the relevance portions, you had seen that we had pasted some of those news, those clips, and they had much more of those, the maritimes related informations. And they are very much crucial right now, given the geopolitical scenarios that we are seeing in. Now, maritime OSINT starts with one of the very basic things we are going to tread here is the AIS. Now, what's AIS? AIS is basically automatic identification system. Now, what is its purpose? So it is basically deployed in order to identify and track the vehicles in the real time, enhancing navigational safety and seeing where they are treading in. Other than that, it basically utilizes the frequencies based on two channels, such as the 161.975 megahertz, and the other two is 162.025 megahertz. That is of the 88B channel and 87B channel. Now, their usage. The usage is that it transmits the ship data. Now, what are those kinds of data that we are seeing is? As you can see, there are various, the IMO number, the MMSI, the vessel name, the dot had been seen, where the event type, that where is their arrival and departure. Or in short, it provides you information about the vessel identification, that is the MMSI or the Maritime Mobility Service Identity. And other than that, it's call sign and the vessel name. Other things are position and their navigational data, such as the GPS coordinates or speed over ground, right? And other than that, we also get information such as the headings, the voyage information, like where it is heading right now, what is the basic destination, the type and the status, like what kind of vessel it is, and the other dynamic information such as their rate of turns too, which also helps a bit in your investigations when you are taking those into account. Now, having combined those things all together, it gives you a much more information about the vessel that you are doing a bit of your investigations on. Now, there are other platforms. The basic platforms that you can utilize here are like vessel finders or the maritime marine vessel traffic. That's a beautiful platform too, like marine traffic. It is being seen. It provides you a very big information, and all of these dots that you are seeing are basically the ships that are out there. Basically vessels, and you can filter that out based on what type of their, whether they are cargo vessel, the pleasure vessels, or what else. And you will get different information, such as you can see the destinations that it is having, right? And also their speed, their course, and their schedule. Now, once you have these informations in your page, understanding about the vessel, we will move to the other part, which is another one thing, and that is the VSAT. Now, why VSAT? Because the AIS in itself are more of the basis, that is the traditional AIS that are being utilized are on the course of the shores that are out there. So they do have a particular range. That is why they are not able to cover sometimes most of these vessels which are lying very far away from the range itself. Now, in those places, VSATs also plays a critical role, because VSAT stands for very small aperture terminals. It's most like, it looks more like your antenna satellite dish that is out there. It helps you to get the reliable communications on the vessel itself. That is why people are able to post off all those social media informations, and we can get back to the social media intelligence OSINT that we were doing. Having said that, just relating to the stuffs, other than that, VSAT basically operates on higher frequency. Thus, it offers you a greater bandwidth, greater connectivity, and everything. Now, VSATs, how can they be found? So we had utilized, as you can see, a census.io platforms. And in there, we had done our investigations basically on the Sailor 600, Sailor 800, or Sailor 900. Once you get that information, you can go into those particular assets that you are finding in. And once you go towards that, you will open up a dashboard. And this dashboard is related to the VSAT itself, providing you various informations ranging from the admin to the non-admin parts, such as the GNSS position, vehicle headings, and everything in between. So once, just to give you a bit of information there, we had downloaded this information, it was almost 84 of these fields that were presenting different things about the vessel itself. And that is why it plays a very crucial role, because it helps in the real-time navigation of the vessel in itself in those locations which are not closer to your coastline. What if that an adversary gets such a information in their hands? That is why it's the time of the need of being in protection and understanding from a OSINT perspective too. Once you have these informations and linked together, we will now move to a much more crucial another thing, and that is the aviation OSINT.
Thank you, Shubham, for that. So now, once we are understanding how maritime OSINT work, or the vehicle OSINT work, or in general how the social media SOCINT works, now it's time to understand what those flying aircrafts means and why aircraft aviation based OSINT is very much important and critical in today's world, going about the geopolitical scenario that is pretty much going on out there. Let's understand that while working on a case, you've been tasked to track a particular individual who might be flying from point A to point B. Well, you might be knowing point A, but while tracking those aircrafts, you might be knowing to point B in the real time. You actually know where they might be landing. Taking another scenario. Now, this time, that particular aircraft that you might be tracking must be a private jet that might be carrying some kind of illegal stuff. As an investigator, you need to find out where that particular aircraft is landing. Obviously, they're not going to use the public runways. They're going to go for the abandoned landing strips. By analyzing the signals that are coming from those kinds of aircrafts using the ADSB technology and all the stuff that we are going to talk about, you can know their exact location. In that manner, these kinds of aviation-based OSINT is quite useful. So just like Shubham has told in the maritime OSINT, that AI is the technology that is being used in aircraft that is done by generally by the ADSB, that stands for Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. Here, automatic means that without any input from the cockpit pilots and any crew member, every process is being done automatically. Dependent means that particular transponder is dependent upon the GPS navigation satellites for it to locate its particular positions or to get the geo coordinates. Surveillance means that every particular time, that is a hop of every 8 to 6 seconds, the information is being continuously transmitted out. And broadcast means that the information is broadcast available. So basically, ADSB is a transponder device that is being placed inside a fuselage of an aircraft that is continuously transmitting these kinds of information, and it was meant to replace the traditional radar systems to have a more higher optimal way of tracking those kinds of aircraft. As you can see in the image, the top image, we are using the ANF radar. That is one of the centralized hub where different transponders are being reporting the data, and we are tracking a particular aircraft. And this aircraft is basically a kind of a government-based aircraft that we are tracking it down. As you can see, it's something radiating its kind of information. Another one, we can see that another aircraft is being flying over the Indian subcontinent, and we can know which location it is being going to. Apart from ANF radar, there are another kinds of resources like Flat Radar 24 or Plane Aware that transmit these kinds of information. So generally, how these resources work is that there are multiple transponders that are being available, and they give their API information. And in the centralized hub, we can go and track these kinds of aircrafts down. Moving forward, as you can see, yeah. So another resources for the aircrafts, and that is we have the ADSB hub on the top image, as you can see, and the ADSB exchange, as you can see in the bottom image. So why ADSB hub is so important? It works in a similar manner as we have discussed before. But here is a key point, because as we have seen in the previous slides, these kinds of applications are more on the business program ideas. What happens is actually that there is a there is a subscription plan, because not all kind of information is freely or openly available. Apart from this, what actually happens is that there might be someone who doesn't want their aircrafts to be tracked down. And it has happened in the real world scenario that the people with the higher authorities might have been able to redact their information down, because all these applications, all these centralized web server units are in the control of the information they want to broadcast it out. They can redact that confirmed information. But with the ADSB hub, the data is being transparently available. Because as you can see in the image, we are having a transponder at the receiver end of the ADSB in somewhere located in the Venice, Italy. As you can see, the station has a coverage of around 200 nautical miles in all directions, and we can see that from which particular point the data is being coming. We can see lots of aircraft that are being hovering around in the air. There might be cargo aircraft, there might be civilian aircraft, there might be private jets. All kinds of information can be tracked down without any redaction. So that means every kind of information that are being broadcasted, you can see it out there, and that can be helpful in a various kind of investigation. Because as they say in ocean investigation, you cannot entirely depend upon a single point of resource. You need to cross verify information from multiple resources. So in a one understanding an example, there might be chances that in one of the resources you might not be able to find a particular aircraft in one resource, but using the ADSB hub that is being nearly that aircraft, you might get the location. then that manner these kinds of resources might be useful. The next one is the ADSB exchange. Back one. Yeah, the next one is the ADSB exchange. So the best part about the ADSB exchange and why basically we love ADSB exchange so much is that apart from being transparent and telling you lots of information, not about just the flight signs and flight calls, about the squawk code, the barometric altitude, the height, or maybe the mode of transmission of the information, ADSB exchange has a particular filter. So as you can see in the global map, we can see very small amount of aircrafts. Well, that's because these are the aircrafts that are being maybe flagged under a particular sign, maybe special type of aircraft, or maybe they have been not being tracked using the ADSB traditional technology. Because what happens in most of the scenarios, there are some kinds of specialized aircraft that does not broadcast their ADSB information, and they're being allowed to do that so. But using some other kind of signal-based technology like the ADSC or AMLET in general, that is the triangulation process, these kinds of aircraft can be tracked down. So using those specialized kinds of filter and the higher amount and advanced level of filters, we can track these kinds of aircraft down that you can see in the ADSB exchange. So that was about all about the aircraft resources. Let's move on to the signal intelligence. So OSINT for signal and signal intelligence is quite useful and quite special. So let's take a scenario from one of the favorite movies of ours. This is the Imitation Game that tells you about how basically radio signal intelligence basically works. So in this similar manner, as you can see in the older time, the signals are being transmitted or being intercepted. In a similar way, using the SDRs or the web SDRs, we can intercept the signals, what is transmitting in the air using the radio waves, we can track it down. So here we are going to talk about the web SDRs in general, because these are the SDR devices that are being connected over the web. And the best part about these kinds of web SDR devices is that you are not geographically restricted when you are locating any kind of signal, because sitting here in one part of the world, you can listen to the signal of any SDR that is being connected over the web. As you can see in the image that currently we are tracking down the signal from a narrowband web SDR that is in the Goonhully radio station. So basically it's a 25-meter wide dish that is being used to track down the satellite signals or maybe the interstellar signal. And here, specifically, we're looking at the signal that is coming from the Qatar Oscar 100 narrowband satellite. So basically, it's an amateur radio operation satellites. And as you can see in the bottom images, we are tracking those signals down. What kind of signals are coming? Apart from this, there is another web SDR that you can see that over the University of 20. This is one of the most famous web SDR that is available online that you can check it out on yourself. So why it is being famous? Because it has a very high bandwidth. So you can go and hop into different kinds of frequencies to know what kind of particular softwares to use, what kind of bandwidth to listen to. So basically, when you're talking about the web SDR, there are two major applications that are being used. That is the OpenWebRx and the Kiwi SDR. So basically, OpenWebRx and Kiwi SDR give you different modulation phase depending upon the type of frequency bands you want to listen in. You can understand and analyze and differentiate between the frequency bands. So that was about the OSINT for radio signals. Moving forward, we have the second part. So as we have discussed about the ADSB and the AIS-based technology that is used to track the aviation or maybe the maritime industry, that can be also be done using the web SDRs. So as you can see in the image, that it is not just being located about the ADSB receivers or ADSB transponders. It's about that using the specialized kinds of softwares in the right amount of frequency by doing some kind of intelligence in the behind. We can know that using the web SDRs, we are able to track down a particular location where we are able to decode the signals that are coming from the lifetime. Now it becomes very much important because it might happen at that some particular area there might not be a particular ADSB receiver that has a capacity and the bandwidth to intercept the signals, but there might be a web SDR that has a decoding software. So when you're using that particular web SDR and decoding those kinds of OSINT radio signals that are coming from the ADSB, you can have the aircraft location. So that particular location of an aircraft might not be available anywhere on the internet apart from just being tracked down by you. Apart from this, we can see in the bottom right image, we have the signals coming from the ACAS, that was Aircraft Collision Avoidance and Response System. This is another kind of system that are being used in the aviation technologies to, as the name suggests, to avoid any kind of aircraft collisions. That kind of information is also transmitted on another kind of frequency, and by knowing what kind of frequency we have to listen to, we can listen to these kinds of broadcasted signals and know the exact location of the aircraft. So it might be happening that some particular area you might not be getting the appropriate amount of ADSB signals, but by knowing the ACAS signals, you can track the aircraft down. Apart from this, we have the pager devices, which is quite a phenomenal right now. going on the geopolitical scenario. We can also intercept the paging devices signals. Apart from that, depending upon the type of modulation software we are going to use, it may be GSK8, FT8, FT4, SSTV signals, APRS and WIPRS. It's all about the modulation technology that we are going to jot it down. So depending upon what kinds of signals we are looking at, what kind of demodulation software you're going to use, aircraft signals or general signals in general can be tracked down. So that was about the OSINT for data signals and signal intelligence part. Moving forward, it's about the conclusion. So we need to know that OSINT, as in general, what we're talking about, is a very powerful tool because it is used to track down any individual, maybe an entity, maybe a service, depending upon what kind of case you're looking at. And it is a very important in trend analysis because while having important different kinds of points, by using the intelligence in the right manner, you can draw the points, draw the pattern. Apart from that, there are multiple valuable insight methodologies and what kind of different technologies, even in the threat detection systems, you can have what kind of analyzing the APT groups and their IOCs and the TTPs. So then that manner, OSINT and the conclusion is very much important. As they say, control can sometimes be an illusion, but sometimes you need illusion to get in control. That we like to rest our thoughts with the thank you slide. So this is me signing off early time 87. This is Shubham, Flaymax with our team, Cursed Hacker, Eternal, Mac, Fano, and Redwood. If you want to get in touch with us, this is a QR code, and we love to answer your query. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for this outstanding presentation. And really, we are happy for that. And I can see people are already posting questions for you to answer. So you can see the chat. We already have, first of all, Raki Tewari. I would like to ask the speakers of the current session, what is that as a layman with little knowledge on the subject, how can one utilize OSINT to ensure their day-to-day safety and privacy? You have the floor.
Yeah, so using the OSINT, as we have discussed in the particularly while we're talking about the day-to-day life incidents in the particular section of the social media intelligence. So you need to make ensure that what kind of thing you are posting out on the social media platforms that might be revealing some kind of information about you. So as we say, that is the cyber hygiene techniques that says that you should not post anything that reveal where you live, where you might be traveling, with whom you might be traveling, or any kind of information that might be included to the PIIs, that is the personally identifiable information. That is like maybe your identification number that the government might assign to you, or any kind of identification card that the government might use. So using these kinds of OSINT techniques, and from a attacker perspective, these kinds of information can be vitally important. And from a receiver point of view, you need to hide these kinds of information that can be leveraged upon.
Yeah, just to add to that is more on basis of understanding what you are actually putting down on your internet. Basically, it's a world where everybody is seeing you currently. So you can utilize the basic cyber hygiene that Sagar told you, and then you can much more protect yourself on your day-to-day basis and secure your life on that.
Okay, thank you. Sprinter is asking in the chat, what can be the end result of OSINT for radio signal? Can a threat be able to end listening a communication?
So basically, that's a very nice question. First of all, thank you to Sprinter for asking such a nice question. Carrying forward with it, so it all depends upon what kind of radio signals and what kind of communication you are listening to. So there are incidents that you can check it out on the internet that tells you that there are particular what happens that a certain amount of signals that the communication that needs to be secret out might be broadcasting. So it all depends what kind of communication signals you are listening to it that might be revealed what kind of information. So in that manner, a threat can be tracked down. So let's say point A is going to attack point B. and they're transmitting this information that point A is going to plan an attack. So if point B is listening to all kinds of radio signals that are being happening, they can already plan and defense thereof. So in that manner, it boils down to this one single point that you need to note it down and jot it down what kinds of signals you're going to listen. So in that manner, that's why web SDRs and different kinds of web SDRs are quite useful in that manner.
Okay, fine. Another question from Atkinson. There is many type of OSINT in your presentation. Is there a tool to bring it all together?
Yeah, so regarding that, we have a QR code out there. So we do have the link to our tools out there so that you can check them out. That we have presented out in our presentation right now. And if you have any other further queries or questions regarding the tools what we are utilizing and we have shown, please you can connect with us. We're happy to help you with that.
Okay, we will even share your LinkedIn profiles in the chat for them
Sure.
to contact you.
Sure.
Okay. Let's check. Oh, Raki is saying thank you for the amazing. Okay, there's another question from Franja. What about tracking people? Is there an open source or commercial software to do that?
So basically, there are definitely going to be the softwares or the applications that might be useful to track these people down. But talking about that might be open source, that is not the case, because the federal agencies are going to use and they have the techniques and technologies to use these kinds of information. As Shubham has already mentioned in the beginning of the slides, that there are two kinds of OSINT, the active and the passive one. Here we are trying to bring a point that using the passive OSINT methodologies, how much information you are able to track it down. So like the minimalistic of the information that are being available online, how much grave you can track them down. So yeah, I guess that's the answer to that part.
I hope he understood. Okay. Someone is trying to ask a question down there. Sorry, because I was late. Tell me, please, OSINT have many orientation, military and others. I don't know exactly what he wanted to say, but can you just give him some of the orientation you provided in the PPT, because maybe he was late. That's it.
Yeah, no worries. So OSINT, as what I can understand from it, please correct me if I'm wrong there, that OSINT is mainly of the usages that is being out there. So if it is related to the usage that OSINT provides, is basically everywhere. Everything that you do out there, from any of your investigation, whether it be your own threat analysis to the threat hunting to bug bounty to even the journalism to the military, other portions, everything starts with the basic search operations, and that is where OSINT comes into play. And you need to be very much sure about what you are dwelling in. That is why one needs particularly to follow a cyber hygiene there, because you don't know where you are treading in order to find that information, because you're going to lead your digital footprints, which can be traced back at the source itself. So yeah, OSINT forms many orientations with respect to where it is being utilized. So yeah, that's is there the answer? Vanik, anything you want to add, Saga? We choose orientation.
So Vanik, what I can understand is that you're talking about that while working on a case, what kind of OSINT you're going to use from going from point A to point B. So if that's the point, I'll say that it all depends upon the type of case and the type of investigation you're looking at. So there are different subcategories of the OSINT that includes SOCINT, the geointelligence, geographical intelligence, image reversing, signal intelligence, that also goes to the electronic intelligence and the communication-based intelligence. So in that manner, it all depends upon what kind of case you are looking at. There are multiple subcategories of the resources as well as the techniques and the methodologies that can be subsequently used. So yeah, I guess that's part. Uh, I'll say, Francis, that there is no exclusively tool that is going to help you every time out. I'll say it's about the techniques and the methodologies because it's all about the curiosity. It's about drawing the pattern, analyzing the information, because information is actually available online out there. You just need to grab those kinds of information and you need to know from what kind of information is making sense to you. So it's about the technique that needs to be mastered instead of the tools and resources, because that can be found anywhere, and at that particular time anyone can develop these kinds of resources from their own selves also. So yeah.
Yeah. Just to add to that, there is no such as master of that. But yeah, you can go around and find more of those informations and do the basic OSINT. OSINT starts with searching. And once you utilize your searchings, then you can get as many tools as you like.
uh, to answer the question from the social networks, so to improve the efficiency, there are tools available that is going to automate the processes. So it all depends upon that you can create your own automation scripts. And when you're getting data from one particular site, and then you can going to track and jot that information down using the API that are available. And depending upon the type of filters you want to use, you can automate those kinds of processes. So not going every time single-handedly like pickpocketing any kind of thing. You can have a script that is being running background and checking all those kinds of information. So as Shubham has shown in the social media side, there is a Sherlock tool called Sherlock that is quite useful, that do that kind of stuff only. So in the background, they are going to check it out, all kinds of information about the particular email address or the username that we have given, and try was any kind of social media record that you can find. So it all depends, going down that what kind of tools and what kind of investigation you're looking at, you can create those kinds of tools.
Okay. So I think he didn't understood. That's why he's asking again.
Can you answer what?
So Sprinter is asking, do you know a tool called Trip? Is that a kind of OSINT?
Yeah, the first to answer the Daniel. So the thing is that so basically, yeah, there might be some kind of commercial or softwares that are being available, but if you're talking about the open source networks, these kinds of tools are not publicly available because the specific kinds of tools are being used by the federals and the Fed services. And here we are discussing about the passive way of the OSINT, where we dwelling into the part where the minimal of the information that is available online, how much impactful that can be information. So that kind of thing we are discussing here. And to answer, do you know tool called Trade? So we have not heard about this particular tool, and it might be so. Yeah.
We're surely be checking out. Thanks, Pinter.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I can see there are no more questions. Okay, people are so happy for your presentation. Insightful session. Very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, this has been a very interesting session. What we would like to is you come next time with such interesting subjects again, because every year we are, yes, organizing and attending this conference. Very interesting. So for the people that want the PPT, no problem, but we just we already shared the contact of the speakers. Now we are sharing the details of the community. So when you join, you will get the links inside there. So that's it. So another question? No, I don't think so. Okay, thanks again, guys. Thanks again for being around. We really appreciate the time that you gave us, and would like to have you next time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. We would like to thank the community itself, to EOCON, and the wonderful audience that are out there, because that makes much more important, and keep OSINT and keep doing that. So thank you. Jai Hind.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
So we are just going to introduce the next session is in 20 minutes. So I would just like to share with you people what it will be about, so that you people don't go. You can stay for 15 to 20 minutes, and then you will assist to the presentation of Mr. Godfrey Egbe. Mastering problem solving and critical thinking as an ethical hacker. Thanks again, and see you in 15 to 20 minutes.